Well, hello everyone, Taxi88 here and welcome to another retro gaming review. Now, after having previously reviewed the Sinclair ZX Spectrum 128K version of OutRun, now I'm looking at the port that US Gold released for the Amstrad CPC 464. And at the moment it's looking and sounding pretty good. That intro screen is nice and colourful, a little bit on the blocky side. And that music though, that sounds really good. So first impressions are quite impressive at the moment. Let's hope that the rest of the game holds up. So controls, keyboard. Let's get this show figuratively and literally on the road. And the first thing I notice, the frame rate is absolutely awful. And we've got a green road. No in-game music whatsoever. No engine noise whatsoever. And almost no sound. Not sure about that sky effect either. I mean, if you look at the same sky effect on the Spectrum version, it's way better than this. Graphics are incredibly blocky. Oh, it's even got that same problem that I saw in the Spectrum version where the road slightly shifted to the right, but not gradually. Is this sort of a Spectrum port? Because especially with that being in there, I'm pretty sure it happened at the same. Look at that, it looks like the lines aren't even moving there, well, barely. Oh. So I crash into the car that just decided to suddenly cut in front of me, and it makes a farty noise. Well, did you see that? That green car just sort of jumped about all over the place. Now, according to this, I'm going at 194 kilometers per hour. But I'd say it was more like 1.94 kilometers per hour because this is a terribly slow game. I really don't feel like I'm getting an adrenaline rush of a race here. It feels more like I'm going on a leisurely Sunday drive. What was that? Oh dear, look at that. Look at this. It's awful. Oh dear. No, look at it again. The road sort of suddenly. Those cars were just jumping about all over the place. Did you see that? This port is an absolute mess. Controls are not very responsive. Oh, I ran out of time. Okay. Let's try that again. And off we go on our leisurely Sunday drive. I'm sorry, race. I also noticed that, like the Spectrum version I reviewed, there is no visual representation of which gear I'm in. Again, why not? It's not like it would have taken a huge chunk of memory to do that. Even just something that says low or high would be better than absolutely bugger all. 289 kilometers per hour. Yeah, sure, I'm going like that. I mean, it looks like I'm not even moving there. Buh. I didn't even touch that bush. I'm sorry, I didn't. And it seems like no matter what you hit, even if it's just brushing the leaves of a bush, you come to a complete and utter halt. Yeah, because that's such a realistic simulation of driving. I think it's more likely to damage the hedge than. I mean, this car actually does not look like it's even driving along a road. It's more like it's one of those old films from about the 50s or 60s where you've just got a car in the foreground. Well, something. Oh, God damn it! Yeah, well, you got a car in the foreground, and you just got this footage, pre-recorded footage playback of a road in the background. It's like it's a scrolling road with just a car sprite stuck on it. It barely feels like it's actually part of the action. There's that sudden slight shift over to the. What? I didn't even hit anything. Oh my goodness, this is one hell of an ugly port. Look at that jumpity. That red car was all over the place. It was even going, oh, you bastard. Look at this. Wait for the next stage to load. I cannot believe that car stopped me literally just a centimetre from the checkpoint. Again, vehicles just jumping about randomly all over the screen. Look at that lorry, it just suddenly jumped. Oh, you can sod right off. Where's the sound? Where's the music? Where's the thrill? Where's the overall OutRun experience? It's just not here. And those sound effects when something collides with you, absolutely daft. Ugh. Yeah, because you really go "Buh" if you drove into something in your car. I think it'd be a bit more of a significant sound than that. This is not at all enthralling. Buh. I'm not surprised that the 8-bit versions came with a cassette that had the original music from the arcade on. You'd need it to get anything even remotely resembling atmosphere in this. What? Where did that lorry come from? It just suddenly appeared in front of me. Oh, US Gold. Why did you do this to Amstrad users? Did you not actually care about your clientele? Oh, great. Now, how am I meant to avoid all that? See, I had no chance of avoiding all that. They were just... Oh, God. I'm really starting to get angry now. Look at this jerkiness. Look at how those lorries were just jumping about. Oh, I had no chance of getting past that. Buh. Buh. This is absolutely ghastly. Can you imagine if you were a kid in 1986 who loved OutRun, saved up all your hard-earned pocket money, thought it was going to be cool just to have the name OutRun on it, bought this, loaded it up, and then got presented with this load of claptrap. Blech. I mean, but the only thing they got right graphics-wise is the car. I mean, the actual look of the car itself. Everything else about it sucks. I mean, it still has the same problem of the Ferrari logo facing the opposite direction at times, like it is now. But that was a commonplace in, I think, pretty much every port. In fact, in the Amiga port, I really recall that the man and woman even swapped seats in some of the sprites. You absolute bastard. I'm telling you now, they must have had about half a person working on the sound in this. There's no in-game music at all. And that lorry in front of me there, which I've just passed, you could see it was actually just disappearing and reappearing randomly. See, look, these vehicles are just darting about all over the place. See, look, they're not even on the road. Blech. And it doesn't even give you a game over or anything like that. I mean, the Spectrum version didn't either, but at least it had a bit of a pause. This doesn't have anything. And again, why can't I just type my initials in? Why do I have to do all that same rigmarole I would have had to do in the arcade? Oh, US Gold, you have really hurt. You must have really hurt and upset Amstrad CPC owners with this absolute filth. I'm sorry, but you guys should have been ashamed of yourselves, and so should the people who actually programmed this dross. This is not thrilling, it's not enjoyable. Green roads, really? I mean, the roads are the same colour as the grass. I mean, what's that all about? Am I driving on some kind of road that's been painted on the grass or something? See, look, those lines make it look like I'm going backwards. Well, the foreground bit did. The rest of it made it look like I wasn't even moving. Oh, bleh. Oh, God. I'm getting really cross now. I mean, there's not even there's the only sound you really get are when you crash into something, or when the game thinks you've crashed into something, even if it's just a blade of grass, or that pathetic excuse for a skid sound like that. What's that all about? Look how quickly those are passing me. I'm supposedly doing over 200 kilometers per hour, and that red van just suddenly disappeared and reappeared. Oh, you absolutely been cut in front of me at the 11th hour. No, this is an absolutely shabby port. Oh, dearie me, where's all the sound? Where's the in-game music? It could have easily handled it with the right team. See what this course is like. Look at those lines. It looks like I'm not even moving. Oh, come on. I don't think I even touched that. Oh, these damn cars are just plundering into me. Look at those trees. It's actually got sort of blocks within them, as if there's a sudden piece of the background scenery cut out of them. Pathetic. See, look, you can actually. It's as if the trees are cutting out parts of the background mountains. Oh, God, I'm getting really angry now. This is such a dull experience. Pushing a toy car along the sofa would be more enjoyable than this. I mean, it pretty much amounts to the same thing anyway, and it would actually have better hit detection. And a kid playing the toy car in that way could probably even make more realistic car sound effects than anything in this game. Oh, dearie me. This is hideous. Again, stagnant lines. Look, only the trees are actually passing me. The lines are just staying put. And more cases of the road suddenly shifting a fraction to the right. This is utterly hideous. Ugh. Again, I didn't even touch that. I was miles away from that tree. Oh, you absolute git. Did you see that? He just suddenly darted in front of me at the very last second. Oh dear. I couldn't stop in time and I couldn't get out of the way. Come on, get your ass in gear. Even the trees are suddenly appearing in the middle of the road momentarily. That red Jeep thing just suddenly disappeared and reappeared like that other one earlier. Oh, this is easily the worst 8-bit computer conversion of OutRun, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, even with its frame rate issues, that Spectrum 128K version I reviewed not so long ago, it may have been slow and jerky, but at least it had that in-game music and was slightly more playable. I mean, this has got nothing to redeem it, apart from that intro screen. That is literally it. I mean, even the main menu screen is boring. Tell you what, if there's anything that could cause someone to fall asleep at the wheel, it's this conversion. Bleh, bleh. Yeah, because I'm really sure that a sound like that would play if you drove a car straight into a tree, or in my case didn't, because I was clearly nowhere near it. Right. Just key in my text again, and then I'll wind up this review. So there you have OutRun for the Amstrad CPC 464. A hugely repugnant port that deserves to sink without trace. Graphics, colourful but quite blocky. Interesting choices of colour for the road. I mean, green roads. I mean, what are you on? And that the gradiented sky is not nearly as convincing as it is on that Spectrum version I reviewed not so long ago. And there was noticeable graphical glitches during gameplay, such as vehicles disappearing and reappearing, like you saw a few times. Sound, well, the only possible sound is that music on that very opening screen, that intro screen before I went to the main menu for the first time. Everything else about the audio is severely wanting. I mean, there's no in-game music. There is no engine noise whatsoever. That skid sound you're hearing there is about that and that boo sound when you supposedly hit something. Those are literally the only sounds you hear throughout the actual game. And speaking of which, gameplay, thoroughly lamentable and dull as dishwater. As I pointed out, the frame rate is dreadfully appalling. Those aforementioned glitches also include things like cars suddenly going off the road and then suddenly back on the road in the twinkling of an eye. I mean, it's almost like they suddenly zigzagged about 20 meters away before suddenly reverting back to their original position. You saw that quite a few times in the footage I captured earlier. And again, there's no visual representation of which gear you're in, which was also a complaint I levelled at the Spectrum version I previously reviewed. But above all, there's just no atmosphere, there's no fun, there are no thrills to be had with this port, and it's just dismal. So I'm going to give OutRun on the Amstrad CPC 464 2 out of 10. That really is a shameful conversion, and I dread to think how many hearts US Gold broke by agreeing to unleash this pitiful port onto the public back in the day. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that review of OutRun for the Amstrad CPC. Texie88 out.